It's the internet, you're busy, let's do this. I'm Jeff Grubb, I write for GamesBeat.com. I do GrubbSnax here on Giant Bomb. This is a show where we talk about all the news that's happening in video games each week, and I answer your questions. That's a big part of the show, is we answer your questions. But also, I like to bring some news each week as best I can. This week, I feel like I should have just taken yesterday off. I should have just taken it easy, because today, most of the news we're probably going to end up talking about here is those major delays that happened this morning with Starfield and Redfall. We'll get to all that here in a second. Before we do, though, if you want to ask a question, just make sure you go to giantbomb.com/chat, and there's an ask a question button there at the top of the page. You click on that, I'll see it, and it'll funnel right here into our little question bucket thing, and I'll get to all of them as I can. I believe that actually Waypoint has the TM on question buckets, so I expect to hear from their lawyers now. And then, yeah, what else do I like to say before I actually get into it? If you are watching on Twitch, hello, I love you very much. I can't see what you're writing right now, though. You can tell me you love me, and I won't feel it. So I don't know how you feel about that, the fact that I can't feel your love. If you want that to happen, though, go to giantbomb.com/upgrade. Then you come hang out with us in chat, and then I'll be able to see your questions. Okay, I see people here saying I love you. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, let's do this thing. Let's talk about the news. Starfield and Redfall are now not coming till they said like the first half of 2023. That's kind of how they put it. Those games were the games this year for Microsoft. I mean, I think if you've been watching this show, if you've been listening to my podcast or anything like that, read my story right after last E3, this was kind of always the case that Microsoft and Xbox game studios and the publishing label, the big games that they were going to have for 2022 were always just supposed to be Forza Motorsport, Redfall, and Starfield, with a few other smaller things sprinkled in. Now, that was never a lot, but you could make the argument that Starfield is big enough to sort of hold up the entire year on its own. Well, that's not coming anymore. So what happened here? Well, they didn't say much. Phil Spencer was at Bethesda Game Studios, last week? I think it was last week, but maybe it was earlier this week. But they were there, and they talked about all this, or they probably talked about all this, and then what happened is, okay, they decided, yes, these games are going to need more time, and so that's the situation that we're in. I believe that these games probably are the victim of what every game is a victim of right now, that there's just not enough time in the world. I don't know about you. For me, it feels like time's just flashing by so fast, and I think that's kind of getting to people. It's been that way for 2-3 years of this pandemic, and as things start to maybe slightly go back to normal, that flying by of time hasn't really let up. And at the same time, it's really hard to hire talent and stuff. It's really hard to get all the people into the studio. So if you have a big game and you're trying to get it finished, I'm not too surprised that it's getting delayed. So my expectations here are that we will probably get Starfield in February. That seems right. We know for a fact that games can do very well in February because of something like Elden Ring. Elden Ring came out, did 12 million copies or whatever. I think some people asked some questions about that, but I think that's worth bringing up right now. That Elden Ring is a proof that you can release anything at any time now. We've sort of known that. We've known that games could come out in spring and summer, late summer and stuff like that. And August was a big thing with BioShock. When BioShock came out in August and did really well, a bunch of games started coming out in August, and the holiday season got bigger and bigger. Well, now that whole entire idea of a seasonal release schedule has gone away. And it's hey, if you have a big game and you were going to release it in the holiday, instead, let's just put it out in February and it'll do just as fine. But I don't know how much that would factor into their decision-making process. More likely, these games just needed more time. It's, Occam's razor. It's the simplest thing. These games were coming along, and Phil Spencer went to go see them, and everyone involved was like, we would love to have more time. Can we please have more time? We know that that's insane because these are the only games you have this year, but we really do need more time. And I think Phil Spencer's just still in that mindset of it's better to just pull the trigger on pushing these games back. And yeah, I mean, for me, I was never expecting this to be a very good year for Xbox because of the very limited number of games that they had in the hopper. But this is not great, right? This is pretty bad. If you picked up a $500 console, I don't blame you for wanting exclusive content to sort of justify that to yourself. At the same time, I think there's still a lot of games out there that you probably haven't played. A lot of third-party stuff will still be coming up. You'll probably be fine, but $500 is still a lot of money. So if you're trying to sort of make that make sense in your brain, saying that, hey, Starfield is coming out in so many months, I could see that being a justification. It's, you know, and losing those justifications can kind of hurt. So I don't blame anyone who's like feeling kind of upset right now. But the good news is if you were doing the Game Pass thing, just cancel. Just cancel your Game Pass. Wait until they put out games that you want. If you are in a situation where there was a bunch of games that you were looking forward to and nothing right now, just cancel your Game Pass subscription. Make them prove to you that it's worth it to you again. That's the deal we have here. And that's like, at that point, what are we really getting so upset about? Just go play other games elsewhere. Take that money and go spend it elsewhere. That's Microsoft's problem then. As far as what could come out this year from Microsoft, it's not a lot as far as I can tell. Maybe there's some other stuff that is sprouted up that I have no idea about, but I think Forza Motorsport likely does still come out this year, but at this point, who knows? Like, if these games needed to get delayed, maybe Forza Motorsport needs to get delayed. They haven't even announced that game's coming out this year, so yeah, I don't blame anyone for being skeptical. I think that Josh Sawyer game probably also comes out this year, but that's another one they haven't really talked about in any public setting. So we are just kind of waiting on them to tell us about what they have. And the good news there is we won't have to wait long. It is May 12th. Like in exactly 1 month, right, is when the Xbox showcase is. So 1 month from now, they will have to make an argument to all of the people who are either considering getting Xboxes or already spent that money and are considering keeping their Game Pass subscription. They'll have to make an argument then. And I expect that to be a pretty compelling argument, but at the same time, you know, what games can I play throughout the rest of this year? I just don't know if they're going to have much. You know, there is the other side. There's Game Pass, right? They have Game Pass. They could put out a big new Game Pass third-party game day and date. They could do a couple of those. Maybe they have like a break glass in a case of emergency sort of deal set aside for a couple of companies. They're like, hey, what if we just did an insane deal with you? What if we just gave you way more money than makes human sense just to get this game on Game Pass on day one because we don't have anything else? Would you be down then? I think many third-party publishers still are going to say no. That continues to be Xbox's problem. But I bet they could convince maybe one or two. At this point, though, what games are available for that? It's tough to say. I suppose, and I don't know how this would work exactly with the you know, the pending not litigation, but investigation by the FTC into the deal between Microsoft and Activision. Could they do it with Call of Duty, or would that look wrong in light of that deal happening and like they leveraged something? You never know. We'll get to questions about this. I'm sure people will have questions about this. But for now, let's move on to the game mess. Let's talk about the schedule for the game mess. Jeff Grubb's summer game mess is back. Let me see here if I can. You know what? Actually, yeah, let's just do it. There it is. Jeff Grubb's summer game mess. It is a schedule of things that are coming that we know about, and some things I've been able to play. Well, there's actually not much that I've been able to confirm. We'll talk about the other things that aren't official yet. But the new thing is 505 Games announced something for May 17th. They're the publisher of Control in, I don't know if they're like, do they publish Control everywhere? I think so. But they're going to show some stuff off. Maybe they'll have something new from Remedy or something like that. They continue to have a deal with Remedy. There is then Star Wars Celebration on May 26th through the 29th. I think it's the 27th. It's probably when we'll hear about Star Wars, but still not sure. And that's Star Wars Jedi 2. Again, if anyone wants to guess the name, no one got it right last week. So if you want to keep guessing the name, feel free. And then I don't know much about. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy, so Final Fantasy 16 trailers plus information in the spring. They said they were going to do that, right? Is that like he said that's coming up soon? Because maybe I need to remove that from the list if that's not exactly correct. Then we got Apple's thing on June 6th. June 9th is when the Summer Game Fest proper starts. Jedi Outlaw is a pretty good name, but that's not it. Star Wars Jedi fucker. That's very close. People are still guessing. Summer Game Fest begins in earnest on that June 9th. That's a Thursday, I believe. There will be other things happening all throughout that week. We'll get to one of those in a second. Day of the Devs also happens as part of Summer Game Fest on June 9th. Then Tribeca Games Spotlight on June 10th. June 12th, that is Xbox's show, Xbox Plus Bethesda, but I added a minus because it's cute, because what are they going to fucking show if they don't have any games coming out? I suppose they probably still will talk about Starfield at this thing, right? Because you're moving from November. If you move into the first half of next year, maybe in best case scenario is a 3-month delay then to February. And that's not, you don't like abandon your marketing calendar because of that. You just extend your marketing calendar. So I'm sure they'll still talk about Starfield at the E3 thing. If they haven't already confirmed that they're going to do so, they might have. And then the PC Gaming Show also on June 12th, the Future Game Show. Those are like, PC Gamer and Games Radar putting on their own shows. They've done a few of these. Mostly a lot of times they end up showing a lot of games we've seen elsewhere. The PC Gaming Show was always like, there's a major new update to Fortnite and PUBG. I mean, I like those things, but like they are what they are. And then, we have the rest of the list here, but let's talk about the other things I think probably will happen that June 9th Summer Game Fest week. The big one that I'm pretty certain of now that I probably will add to the list is Call of Duty should have a big event that week, a big reveal. Its marketing schedule has got sort of flipped on its head, but they started showing the game to NFL draftees just like they did in 2019, right? Like back when the before time. So I do expect them to try to keep things going forward with the way they've usually done things. But now that they have this sort of this is like the one big game they have, and they're not going to try to like shove it into, and PlayStation probably not going to have a big June event now, and this kind of makes me think that that's probably not going to happen. That then we're going to get this Call of Duty specific reveal in that week. I don't know, maybe June 10th. I don't know the exact date, but that week sounds like what they're planning for. What does that mean for Sony still has the co-marketing deal for that game? You would assume if they had something in June, Call of Duty would probably just wait for then. But maybe they do it in late June and Activision doesn't wait till late June. That's a possibility. This makes me think that we are going to get a Sony thing in September, the PlayStation showcase like we always did. We might get a small state of play explaining what's happening here or there between now and then. But if you're waiting for the big E3 equivalent from Sony, I think you're going to be waiting a few more months. That's just speculation though. The other one is Ubisoft. Ubisoft seems like they might be considering doing something in June. I've not been able to confirm that. That's why it's not on the list. But hopefully next week we will be able to nail that down. The reasoning for this, though, seems pretty obvious. This is a company that is trying to figure out what its future is. We talked about it last week. There's a lot of interest from the company in partnering with private equity to sort of figure out its future and position it for acquisition or whatever, or to fight off acquisition. And that makes a little bit more sense after reading up on it in the past week. Specifically, this is a company that we did mention this last week, but still, like once I thought about it, okay, it makes more sense. Ubisoft is a company that has almost 20,000 employees, almost twice as much what like Activision has, and yet it's worth like a fraction of what Activision and EA are worth. And so the idea might be partner with private equity, use that sort of to position the company and re-engineer the company to be more streamlined basically I think they're going to try to do a bunch of layoffs and then at some point have the private equity firm, after stripping away all the fat or whatever, then sell the company off to someone else at that point, sell to Tencent at that point, sell to Microsoft, maybe, probably not, but I think that seems like the path that they're trying to go down. So if you are going in that direction, you still want to have as high a price point that you could sell at right now. And they've done this in the past when they were like, hey, Vivendi's trying to get us, let's make ourselves look big and puffy. So what do we have? Beyond Good and Evil 2 is coming. It's real, we swear. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is making it. And so they might do something similar this year where they have a big Ubisoft showcase. They show off all the games they have coming. They make big promises. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is back. That I would be surprised about. But maybe. Circumstantially, it makes some sense that they would want to do this. And I'm hearing that they probably are going to do something and in June. That brings us back to the next story, which is, and I should have got this picture as well, but there was an EA investor call this week. Let me get my shot back. That's gonna do that thing again. Okay, I'll need to fix that for next week. I was like looking at the EA earnings thing, and I saw that picture that they had of like, okay, here are our games coming out for the rest of the year. And one of them was, our sports games or whatever. And then in Q4 of our fiscal year, we're going to have like a remake and a sequel and a sports game and like one of their indie partner games. The indie partner game, I don't know what it is. I'm pretty certain, though, it's not like a Hazelight Studios one. It's not Joseph Ferris's new game. Although I do think that they are partnering with Joseph Ferris for his new game. It's just not going to be ready yet, which makes sense. But like, the sports game and the remake and the sequel, like, what could those possibly be? Why are they being so mysterious about this? Is this in addition to other sports games that they've announced? Is this in addition to the Dead Space remake they've announced? Is this in addition to the Star Wars Jedi 2 sequel they have? Nope. It's all just that. It's all just the sequel is Star Wars Jedi 2. The remake is Dead Space. And the sports game is Super Mega Baseball. It's not Skate. It's not Skate. It's 100% not Skate. Skate's not going to be ready this fiscal year. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's not going to be. So, I don't know. It's a weird situation from out of EA. Well, I don't know why they would do that. It seems kind of misleading or whatever. Just, you've already talked about all of these games before. You've said you're making Star Wars Jedi 2. You could just tell us that that's what that is. So it was weird. I don't know why. Skate 4 is not this year. No, don't you dare. Don't you dare twist my words. Yes, and Joseph Ferris did an interview recently where he said he'd rather close down than go public with Hazelight. Yeah, I think he's happy with the situation he has. And EA obviously must be very happy. That last game did very well. Okay. So, that does it for my news. Why don't we transition to the questions, and hopefully this transition goes smoother than the last one. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and this is, I don't know why I did, I was going to bring up the game mess list here, but of course I don't talk about it here. I'm just a very smart man is what it is. Okay, let's get these questions. I'm going to scroll on down. There's a lot of them already here. I'm sure a lot of people are very interested in today's news, but not Doomsday Dan. Doomsday Dan has his own concerns. And Doomsday Dan asks, thoughts on Master Chief getting to clap some Master Cheeks in this week's episode of the Halo show? So I don't watch the Halo show. I have no interest in watching the idea of a video game show. I can't think of one that I'd be very excited to watch. Definitely not this one. But if you're telling me that he got to bone down, that is, I don't blame fans for being mad with the show, because no character exudes never had sex energy like Master Chief. Master Chief is a character who has never even heard of sex. And so if he got to bone, did Cortana watch? It's a very important question. I don't know. Good for him. The show just seems like it's very much doing its own thing. Arcanism. You know what? Castlevania show. I watched the first half of the season, the first first season of that, and I liked it. And I always meant to go back, but I don't have time for TV shows is a big part of it. From Lycratus Praz. I'm just going to say from Lick. Yeah, whatever. What is going on with Microsoft at this point? Got to be pretty devastating at the moment. Yeah, I mean, this is not good. There is some, things they could take to heart, which are the system is selling very fast. They're selling a lot of Xboxes. And the majority of people buying Xboxes are people who look at Game Pass as a good deal, whether or not Starfield and Redfall were going to come this year. It's just the reality is they are people who there are a lot of games in here. That's a good deal. And they want new games in, but they'll be able to find ways to put new games in. And And I think that they need to not just rely. I mean, the thing is, time is linear, right? That's the problem here. Is all of this stuff was set in motion years ago. Like even back to 2018, so many of their studios had pre-existing deals that caused them to have to finish other things first before they could start working on the Xbox thing in earnest. So, you know, Psychonauts 2, people consider it an Xbox game, but that came out on PlayStation. That was like a multi-platform game, so it's like not even really an Xbox exclusive. Deathloop, not even on Xbox yet. Ghostwire Tokyo, not on Xbox yet. These are games where like Microsoft has released them in like the last year as PlayStation exclusives, and almost released as many PlayStation exclusives as they have Xbox exclusives. And, you know, but they also knew this stuff was coming. So you would say, okay, find other ways to make other deals in the meantime to fill in the gaps here. Because you always know there's a potential for something like Starfield to get delayed and really shake up your whole year, let alone both Starfield and Redfall, basically the two pillars that they had to rely on. And we don't know if either is really going to be a pillar. We can assume so far with Starfield because of the pedigree and their seeming insistence that they don't want a repeat of Fallout 76. But Redfall, we have no idea what to expect from that. But now those aren't even like those questions aren't even there. So it's bad. It's bad for Microsoft. But it's not something they cannot weather. They just need to keep selling the console as they have been, keep making sure that the thing is as appealing as possible, and try to find other ways to make Game Pass an appealing proposition. And then if they can get to 2023, if this E3 is good, even with no big games coming out later this year, if this E3 is good and it makes the promise of in 6 to 9 months, you're going to have a lot, you're going to kind of be feasting for the rest of the year after that, I think they'll be okay. So they've waited kind of to the last minute to do this, and now they're in a situation where this E3 really needs to be fantastic for them, and it can't just be smoke and mirrors, and it can't just be like 2024 games. They need to like lay out the argument for their 2023 in a really compelling way. All right, from Casual. Dear Jeff Luscious Grubb, thank you. After paying for my Steam Deck, I had a thought. What if I enjoy the process of installing emulators and ROMs more than actually playing the games? Any tips on how to deal with this? Is it as simple as focusing on one game? Listen, this is a real issue, but it's also that there are like Animal Crossing is just that. Like playing Animal Crossing is a game where you are basically setting everything up and then never actually using it. But there is a lot of joy in setting things up. And so I would say to you, enjoy the process, but if you start feeling bad about it, then yes, maybe try to find a solution that works for you for focusing on one game. Maybe instead of, maybe work, like do a game club with your friends, like get a Discord and say, hey, we're all going to play this game for this next month or something like that and talk about them with that, or listen to a game club podcast or something like that. But yeah, it bothers me sometimes, and I've tried to get better about it. And for the most part, I have improved. It's like, I'm not going to spend, a weekend setting up all these ROMs perfectly. I'm over that. I'm so done with that. I just want to get them up and running so I can play them as I want. And then if you're just dabbling in a bunch of other games, there's nothing wrong with that. Dabbling's fine. People act like you have to like play a game from beginning to end to like truly have a relationship with it. That's just not true. Most games, you get the idea in the first 45 minutes. And if you want to keep playing, then keep playing. If you want to move on to something else, please just do. From Octavius, Immortal Phoenix Rising was low-key one of the best Breath of the Wild likes out there. What are the odds we get a proper sequel? I don't know how well it sold. I think it probably does get a sequel, though. Maybe not right away, but I do think they go back to that series. I think it has a chance to grow a little bit with the next one. It's kind of thing where it's like that's a strong foundation, and a lot of that foundation obviously comes from Assassin's Creed and then borrowing from Zelda. Yeah, I can help with your juice. Bring it here. But then, so you still though, once you get that foundation in place for a new series, you probably don't want to abandon it. You probably want to keep putting them out. And so I think we'll probably get another one here. Maybe not on the Switch, maybe Switch 2. Maybe it's a Switch 2 launch game. It's Ubisoft. They love doing that kind of thing. From In Carson, hey Jeff, just wanted to tell you my play date should be arriving today, so I will be cranking it in honor of your broken play date. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm very happy. I should do something about that. I just haven't had time. It's just sitting on a shelf. See if I can send it in and get it fixed or something. From Bacon Monk, do you think the Starfield/Redfall delays hurt Game Pass subs this year? Does Microsoft now spend more money on deals to get other games on the service this fall now that their flagship titles are gone? So we've talked about the amount of money that Microsoft has earmarked for deals on Game Pass. It's in the multiples of billions. And that money continues to mostly just sit there. But the intent is to spend it if they can. And I think this probably encourages everyone involved to do that because growing Game Pass is still very much what they're most worried about. It's the thing that they are, it's the thing that Satya Nadella's bonuses are tied to, right? Growing Game Pass. So that's an indicator that they take it very seriously. That they'll still make a lot of money. Microsoft's probably still going to have a pretty profitable gaming division even through the rest of this year. But yes, I do think that they want to grow Game Pass subs, and not having Starfield when they were expecting to have Starfield is absolutely going to hurt that. So they got to replace it with something. Just again, what is out there that is a viable sort of pickup for them? Beyond trying to figure out a way to do it with Call of Duty, I don't know what. From Tartiran, dear Grubberino, what does the Starfield delay mean for Seinfeld? It means George is getting upset. There you go. There's my my one legally obligated Seinfeld reference for each episode. From BJ24, any rumblings on what Team Asobi is up to? I genuinely think Astro's Playroom is the best thing I've played on PS5. I think that's probably right. Spider-Man's pretty good. Yeah, Astro's probably the best. And really want to see what they are cooking up. They gotta be making a VR game, right? They have to be making a VR game. As much as I would very much want them to do the Astro's Playroom sequel and turn it into the real big $70 game of my dreams, they are almost certainly are just establishing a baseline for a new, probably Astro game for PSVR 2. So we'll see. From a BR game. Yes, they're making a battle royale. Yes, that's what I said. From Iceman 3110. On last week's show, you said you play inverted. I also play inverted and am convinced that everyone else is wrong. When my toddler is of gaming age, this is a tough one, do I force him to learn the inverted way, or do I sadly change settings whenever we pass the controller? Okay, so everyone else don't listen, because we're going to get into some dicey territory when it comes to your relationship with children. And I don't want anyone calling Child Protective Services. They almost certainly are going to play direct unless you pervert their environment by making them play the games that you played at first that turned you into the inverted pervert that you are. Almost certainly PC flight games and early Nintendo 3D games. Nintendo's early 3D games were like all inverted both ways, because Mario 64 is the exact best reference, because you're not controlling some invisible camera, you're controlling Lakitu holding the camera. So when you press right, Lakitu moves right, and that means the perspective shifts to the left. And that's how they wanted you to think about it. Miyamoto built a second player into the game that you control, so you would think about it that way, so that you would understand what he was trying to do with the controls. And that's how I learned. And after a while, when I played a lot of other, like when I played first person games, the up and down definitely stuck, because it's like there's a stick in the back of your head, or not in the back of your, like at the top of your head, and it's like, you're looking up and down, and that's how I feel it. And then when I'm kind of like moving to the side left, that's how I think about it, and that's how it works. But they kind of need to grow up playing those games for it to happen. I'm pretty sure that the inverted players of the world are going to decline and decline and decline until we become extinct. So my real advice here is probably just embrace that. Use systems that allow you to have multiple profiles signed in at the same time. Buy multiple controllers and just let them have their profile that is set up to play direct instead of inverted. And I'm so sorry that we have to deal with this. Inverse, reverse, and perverse. Very good, Big Steve. Hey, you okay, kiddo? Okay, why don't you go lay down? Oh, you have school when we're done here, kiddo. We're gonna be done here, and then we're gonna eat lunch, and then we're gonna go to school. All right. You left your bunny at school. Well, you have school today. Don't worry. All right, I'm gonna get back to my show. All right, from Winter Reese. To assist with the show today, I've assembled a list of all first-party Sony and Microsoft games that have a release date for everyone to reference. And then it's just a colon to nothing. Jokes aside, good on Microsoft for being okay delaying the titles. Nintendo looking pretty good, right? Yeah, I mean, I think Nintendo's got like multiple games that we don't even know for sure, right? Because we talked about how it makes a lot of sense for a Metroid Prime 1 remaster to come this November for the 20th anniversary. They haven't talked about that. The Zelda HD remasters that came out on the Wii U continue to just sit on the sideline when they've moved every other Wii U game over to the Switch. And now they've delayed Zelda out of this year, leaving a gap for a Zelda game. Makes a lot of sense. So those, I mean, these are the remasters. You know, they still have to give a date to Bayonetta 3 for sure. Like they said 2022, but not an exact date. Nintendo's got a lot. They're looking very good. Sony and Microsoft still very much struggling with being early in a generation. Microsoft way more so than Sony. Obviously, Sony has released a lot of games. When you look at the stuff they released for PS5, as long as you're counting the PS4 and PS5 games, which I would, they've released a lot. So them not having an exact date for God of War yet is like, okay, like this is fine. We know that they've been able to maintain a certain level and they're going to continue to do so. From Being CPM, is Valve still planning on replacing Big Picture with the Steam Deck interface? And if so, when? I'm pretty sure they talked about that recently. Didn't they say they were going to do that very soon? I'm pretty sure they said they were going to do that soon, but I can't remember exactly when. Maybe I'll look into that and see if we can find out exactly when that's going to happen. Winter Reese, the joke played a lot better when I thought the line break was accepted in the chat window for blank spaces. Whoops. I understood. I knew what happened there. I could see the joke you were trying to make, and I saw how it broke it for you, so don't worry. Mock Bucket 62. Hey, Grubb of Spades, have you checked out the free Card Shark demo that was announced in the last Indie World? I didn't know the demo was already out. How is it? I really want to check it out. I guess I'll find out for myself, but to me that game looks fantastic. But a lot of it will come down to how interesting the interactions between the cards and the players actually is. But I'll check it out soon. From Permanent Sigh, is this the moment for Silksong to get a release date for 2022? Tell you what, we're always living in that moment. Every moment is the moment for Silksong to get a release date for 2022. It's never going to happen, but it's still the moment for it to happen. From Walker Bow. Well, hello, Mr. Snacks. It's my birthday, and I'm wondering if Bacalar is drunker than I am. Well, let's take a look here. Let's do the Bacalar meter. Bacalar is only feeling tipsy today, so I hope that you're doing better than that. Let's hope. Happy birthday, Walker. Have a good one. And that, chat, let's go say, according to chat, he's ripped, actually. Jerv says he's not. I'm sorry, everybody. According to the meter. I mean, you guys can see it for yourself. Can we really trust Jerf? I don't think so. From VS, hi. As much as I'm okay with the delay of Starfield and Redfall from the developer's point of view, what about the marketing point? Is it okay to keep announcing games coming to Game Pass and delay them later? What about Game Pass user count? Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, what is an okay amount of time before it's like, hey, I subscribe to this service for those games? I think this is a fair, well, maybe Redfall, maybe got a little bit closer to Redfall because Redfall was summer, but it never got an exact date. So you were always subscribed. If you were subscribing to play Redfall, I think that's on you, right? Like they never gave a date for that. So it's on you to say, well, I'll start subscribing once this game is here. There's no rush. So you were subscribing for other stuff and you got the benefit of the service and the other things it provides during that time. But yeah, if like they were to announce the Starfield delay, a week out, that yeah, I could see people being pretty frustrated by that. Like I just started my subscription now, so I'd have, 3.5, 4 full weeks to be able to play this game, and then I was going to cancel because that's something you enable. This is kind of unfair. At the same time, that's $10, $15. How much is that worth getting upset about? Some people, I'm sure, would decide a lot. From the Marmalade. What's the likelihood Cheesecake Factory meetup has been delayed? I heard from a source that they are worried a certain person might get arrested during the event or demand beef. Any comment on this? Yeah, we always have to deal with Mike Minotti's criminal sort of undertones and intent, just a criminal personality. I don't know. Once I get to Cleveland, once I complete this move, I'm gonna look around for the nearest Cheesecake Factory, and I'm just gonna go, and I expect everyone to be there. From Doug Foot, hi, Mr. Snacks. Will Forza 8 be the only first-party game released on Xbox this year? No, not the only one, but it's the only major one, I would say. I suppose we don't know how big Josh Sawyer's game's going to be, but I would imagine it's probably going to be what he has always described, which is smaller, tighter, definitely like a AA sort of game from a big publisher. I'll say that I follow Josh Sawyer on Twitter. He always seems to be in a good mood. So I have some faith that game's coming out this year. That's sort of what I've heard in the past as well, is that game seems to be on track. Also, Project Belfry, I still think could come out this year. I think that would be a first-party game as well. But yeah, I mean, really, the answer to your real question is yes, basically yes. Forza 8's kind of the only big major first-party game coming out this year. For Morja, why did Blizzard never try and make a World of StarCraft anyways? I mean, once World of Warcraft started making so much money, do you really want to disrupt that equilibrium? I mean, even once they were like working on a sequel to World of Warcraft or working on another MMO, Titan, they looked around and were like, this seems like a bad idea. Let's just make it Overwatch instead. So the thing is printed money for a generation, like not a console generation, for a human generation. Like an entire, like, you know, that it's that long that it's been this very successful thing. And while it's definitely trailed off, it still makes quite a bit of money. I mean, that's not good enough for a publicly traded company. But if you're a developer trying to figure out how do you replace that, it's still a tough proposition even to this day. From Erevan, with Gotham Knights removing last-gen support, but console distribution still a mess, is it the right time for a move, or is it the right time or move for getting rid of last-gen support? Okay, basically, is it now the right time to get rid of last-gen support for most games? Yeah, listen, there are still a lot of troubles with people getting their hands on consoles, but I think that that's changing fast to the point where most people who want to have one right now and are willing to spend the money right now and are willing to do just a tiny bit of work to track one down, for the most part, most of them have it. And these are the people that are most likely to show up for your game on day one. And I think that at a certain point, they're like looking at the math, like it's starting to make sense to just go next gen. And I think what a lot of companies are seeing is when a game is cross-gen, the people on PS4 and Xbox One are waiting until they get a new system. Like, it's not like they're deciding, oh, I'm going to wait till I get the new system. They're just not excited to play games on their old system anymore. Now, there are definitely people out there who are upset when they hear a game is new gen only. That's definitely happened. When I said, what was it, Star Wars Jedi, Jedi 2, whatever, that's what I've been saying. Star Wars Jedi 2, when I confirmed that was next gen only, a lot of the replies I saw on Twitter were like, oh man, now I got to go try to find a PS5 to play this game, because they're Star Wars fans and not necessarily like console gaming fans. They just want to play all the Star Wars games. So I get that, and the same thing will happen with Gotham Knights, but we're getting closer and closer to a point where it's going to hurt sales less and less. Sony is in a slightly different position. Their games are very expensive, and their games probably sell still significantly well on PS4, even though with something like Miles Morales, we definitely saw that people were waiting until they got a PS5. But then they get the benefit of like, okay, and now we get this long tail as well on PS5. So it's not really hurting anyone, no matter which way you go, it seems like. From Sandwich Jones, is the title to Fallen Order sequel Star Wars Jedi Rising Chaos? No. From Feature Creep, has Mike reacted to Juicy yet? So Juicy is so Mike Minotti says just use save states, JUSS, and I told him to make it a t-shirt, and then I decided to make it vulgar by perverting it. Once again, it's what I do. It's what we're going to do many times this episode, by making it juicy, which is JUSSY, which is just use safe states, YOLO. Now that's another acronym inside an acronym, and I understand that. It's the life we've chosen to live here. So I don't. He has mostly ignored it, which to me, he says, "Jeff, stop ruining my thing." Suggests that he thinks I'm ruining his thing. So I'm just saying, I love juicy. From Sevward, does Halo's man's suit crank hit for him? Yes or no? I know that that's that passage from the book was edited and it's not real, but it does. It 100% jerks him off. 100%. Like, without a doubt. From Cup, do you know who came up with the idea for driver updates through GeForce Experience to require a login? And if so, where they might be this afternoon so I can go punch them in the throat? I think you could still download those directly from the web and just install them, I think, but then you don't get GeForce Experience. But you're asking about GeForce. You're not talking about just like the driver updates. You are mentioned I don't know. Let's just blame the CEO. Let's just blame Jensen. Go get Jensen. Now listen, that guy wears a leather jacket every day, so I'm pretty sure he's a tough guy, so I'd be careful. Feature Creep very wisely asks, juicy shirt when? Like I said, you got to ask Mike Minotti. It's up to him. From Beef Motron. What's up, Beef? Do you think the theme of the next Tomb Raider game should be Hot Girl Summer? Yes, absolutely. They should combine the first series and the modern series, so it'd be like Hot Girl Summer. This is a gamer girl hero who poses for bikini magazines and does your calendar and is appealing to teenage boys, but also she's killed a lot and she's murdered so many men and she has to deal with the emotional weight of that. I think they should combine those two things into one. They should actually make it where she is like the serial killer in one of those asymmetrical multiplayer games, like the Dawn of the whatever, the Evil Dead game and a few other ones, and she is the one killing everybody, and you play as teenage boys, and you just get. That's what they should do. That should be the next Tomb Raider. From Tokoto, I mean, how rough was Starfield looking that they delayed it this early and to a nebulous 2023? I mean, it probably had some very. I don't know if it's rough, but I bet the bugs that exist are ones that are very familiar. Ones that when people see them, they're going to be very frustrated because like, this has been in every single Bethesda Game Studios game. Why can't they get this right? This is embarrassing. And yeah, and I've heard things like the flight. I've heard people like playing the game. People seem to really like Starfield who have been playing it internally. But also the flight apparently is like kind of busted. And that's the kind of stuff where it's like, that's going to be frustrating for people at first. Why not just get it right so this game has a Game of the Year potential when it comes out? From Permanent Sigh, are you going to be done with your move in time for the big summer announcements? So it goes like this. You know, at the end of this month, I get into a van and drive my family to a hotel for a couple more days of living here so that we can, you know, make sure everything gets done here. And then at the very beginning of June, we book it across country and go right in. Our house is ready and waiting. We just go right into it and probably move in for a couple days. We'll have some help, I think. But the first thing I will be setting up is a studio so that I can do work. And yes, the idea is right then I expect the big summer game announcements to happen and for me to be ready to do it and stuff. So yeah, we'll see. We've already ordered internet and stuff like that, and I've gotten like pretty decent internet. I wish I could get better upload speeds, but basically the upload speeds continue to be limited by consumer internet demand for that stuff. Although you would imagine during the pandemic that would have changed, but still, it's fast enough for what I need to do. It's just Kevin V asks, are you ever terrified of big news dropping during the show, or do you typically have a sort of heads up on things like that? No, I'm definitely, yeah, it happened last week, right? Wasn't there something that happened during the show last week and people were asking about it and I didn't know what they were talking about, so I didn't know for sure. That's happened before. It's annoying. I don't always have a heads up. If there's embargoed stuff, I do have a heads up and then we just wait until it happens. That's also happened on the show before where an embargo let up in the middle of the show and we just sort of integrated it right then. But a lot of times if it's like big news, like if that, Starfield news would have happened now, it would have been like, it would have thrown the whole show off. But also it's kind of fun because it's like, okay, this is a show where we could, quickly deflect, quickly move off of what we're talking about and just get into what's happening right this second. We have the capacity to do that. So it's one of the things I like about it. Game Fest at IMAX. Is that what it was? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. From Watchmen, can the Leafs pull off the win against Tampa? Yes, I think they can. After that last game, that looked like the kind of team that can just like pull through adversity, which is the one thing that Leafs have never been able to do. The one thing I'm actually super interested to see is if the Rangers can pull off the comeback against the Penguins, because the Rangers are in a deep hole, but they played really well in last night's game after a rough start. So that's another one where it's like they've proven the adversity, but you gotta hope. I don't know. I love King Domingue. I love Domingue in goal for the Penguins. Everyone else could go to hell. I want the Penguins to lose. It's like as soon as Domingue's not in net anymore, Penguins can. Yeah, I don't care. So I would kind of like to see the Rangers get through this first series at least. From M. Rorig, morning. Is there any reason why Nintendo always introduces new ways to play with each hardware release? With the recent talk of a Switch successor, I feel like they're going to shoot themselves in the foot overthinking this thing. Part of me thinks that this is a genuine desire to do something new and different because they believe that that's what is at the heart of gaming. That they believe that gaming should be novel, and that if you keep doing the same thing for too long, then it begins to feel stale. And they're right in many cases. But the thing is, we kind of want that experimentation to happen within the games themselves, right? The other part of it, though, is definitely forced obsolescence, where, you go to see a new car and it has, it's basically the same thing as your old car, but it has all these new, doodads and stuff, and they change the interface, and they change where the, the volume button is, and they change kind of the seats a little bit. And they just change things because they need to make the old one feel old. Even though the underlying technology, the underlying thing that makes the car go vroom is all the same, they need to make you feel like you have been forced into obsolescence, so you feel a need to upgrade. That's true for all this. I mean, we saw that with like PlayStation 5 changing its interface for no real reason other than to change it. And it still uses basically the same PS4 interface underneath. It was just like new windows and new set dressing on top of it. And it hasn't been a better interface, but it was new and different. And that a lot of people, that's just what they want at first. I'm spending a lot of money. I want things to feel new and different. Nintendo, the reason I might lean towards that is because Nintendo seems to understand that. Like HD Rumble, just forgotten about in an instant. Stuff like that. They just completely, the IR camera on the bottom, they're never used again after 1-2 Switch. So this is a company that totally knows it doesn't need to actually do anything with those things. They are just bullet points on a box to get you to spend the money. And then once you spend the money, you already own it. If they don't support it, it's too late. It doesn't matter at that point. If you're still buying games, they're happy. From Yojimbo Ran, if Xbox tries throwing a bunch of Game Pass money at a fall release, what's the most likely candidate? Hogwarts, Gotham Knights? Hogwarts has the co-marketing deal with PlayStation, right? So in those deals, it almost certainly eliminates any possibility of doing a deal like that with Game Pass. So not Hogwarts. Gotham Knights, I don't know who has the co-marketing deal with that. I thought that was also PlayStation, but maybe... I'm sorry. Reverend has another guess. Star Wars Jedi Christ. That's it. Someone finally got it. I'll say that... maybe I still think, I guess Call of Duty would have that same problem then, wouldn't it? Because the deal with PlayStation. So not going to be Call of Duty. I don't know. This is the problem that they have, is there's not a lot of great options for them to throw that money at. And when they find a great option, it's because the publisher thinks it's going to sell a lot, and they're very hesitant about lowering the perceived value of their thing by putting it in Game Pass day one, even if Game Pass is primarily proven that it doesn't necessarily hurt those sales too bad. People who buy games still buy games. From Viaz, do you think Elden Ring's success impacted Starfield development? Maybe a little. I think it probably impacted everyone's development at least a little bit. not in any real material way. Maybe it convinced everyone that, oh, if we push this game from November to February, there's no reason to be worried about its performance. But at the same time, like, this is a game that's going to debut on Game Pass on day one. And kind of doesn't matter when you put it out at that point, because it's like, it's just about people, you know, people are just going to get it in their library one day, and that's that. So yeah, I don't know. I think Elden Ring probably made everyone look around and be like, okay, here's a massive game that is selling better than almost anything else. What lessons do we need to learn from it? Because we probably should try to learn lessons from it. That sort of introspection definitely does happen, but I don't think it was any real material effect on how that game was being developed. From Z-Crits. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. From Z-Crits, would you rather have all remotes and controllers in your house go missing every time you told a lie, or have your wallet and keys go missing every time? Maybe that's why those things always do go missing on me, because I lie so much. Shit. Okay. This is tough. This is a tough one. I hate when things go missing, and yet they go missing all the time on me. I think I would rather have my I'd rather have my remotes go missing, because if I need my wallet and keys, it's because I need to be somewhere, and the consequences are real, and that stuff hurts way more than just like not be able to watch TV. Although not be able to, like, to turn on the TV, because modern TVs, like, you can't even control them basically from the unit itself. So not being able to watch the TV is very frustrating. I get very mad about that. So yeah, but wallet and keys is like it's the real answer. Star Wars Jedi Rising Order, no. Okay. It is one word after Jedi. There you go. There you go, everybody. There's a clue. There's a hint. Star Wars Jedi blank. There's only so many words, right? So if you go through all of them, you're going to get it eventually. Star Wars Jedi 1. That would be confusing. Well, it's still a good name. Okay, they're coming in fast. Star Wars Jedi Booty. Star Wars Jedi Poop. Immediately with those jokes. Everyone, there was like 5 of them in a row. Jedi Orgy. Okay, very good, everybody. Jedi Juicy. Okay. All right, let's keep going. From Sevword, insert essay about crunch, quality control, and managing user expectations here. Yeah. I mean, I'm also getting to that point where every time there's a delay, everyone's coming out with, this is good for the developers and stuff like. I'm like, yeah. We all get that now. They'll probably have to crunch for longer though, so maybe not. I mean, I don't know. They probably want to delay it internally. They probably want to. So, yeah. Feature creep. Do you think FIFA is mad about the EA deal going south, or do they even give a shit? They are happy to not pay them $1 billion for a stupid ass name. I can tell you that much for sure. They are fine. They're ecstatic about not paying $1 billion. Do they think that the EA is being absurd? Of course, or that FIFA is being absurd? Of course they do, because FIFA is being absurd. It's like you guys read that quote, right? What was it like? I'm gonna have to just find it. VGC had the quote from FIFA quote. I just gotta see what. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to find it. But it was basically like, we have the best name in video games, FIFA. And we're going to continue to have the best soccer game with FIFA 24, 25, 26 in the future. Even though EA is not going to be making it, we're going to make it ourselves. And this is the real deal. And fans will know it because it'll say FIFA. Are you a lunatic? Like, no one cares about the name that much. Just incredible stuff. So if that was the sort of attitude that EA was dealing with at FIFA, they're probably like mad because that's an absurd attitude to have, but also happy to not have to deal with FIFA anymore. Basically, they just pulled off the Band-Aid. EA Football Club or whatever, EA Sports Football Club, that's fine. It's going to sell just fine. Like, EA Sports, among that audience, is a well-known brand as well. Like, people know EA Sports, so it's not going to be hard for them to figure out what's going on. From Hog Trick, hey Mr. Grubb, a friend loves Civilization and wanted me to ask if a new one will be announced this year. I said maybe it will, but probably not release it soon because of Marvel Midnight Suns. Do you think it has a chance of releasing in 2023, or have any info. Yeah, I think this game gets announced soon. I think it does come out in 2023. That all sounds exactly what's going to happen. The word is they are working on this game, and the expectation is for it to get announced very soon. So I don't know if it's the kind of thing that shows up at like the PC gaming show or something. Probably not, but if it does, that'd be cool. But I would expect to hear about it maybe over this summer. From Dio Game. With Redfall and Starfield Delayed and rumors Forza may be as well, is there a chance Xbox will not get a AAA first-party release this year? Seems like there's a chance. It really does. They were always targeting these 3 games for this year, and that's it. They didn't have much else. So yeah, there's a strong possibility they may not have anything like that for this year. Well, I mean, what game from like the 2023 timeframe could have moved up? Like, that's the only other option here. I don't think any studio has the capacity to move a game up that much. They had an expectation that they were going to release in 2023 with the possibility for a delay into 2024, as all games get. So I just think it's a strong possibility we're going to go through this entire year without something major. Maybe Forza could still come out. From Feast of Violet, what's the best thing you can cook that you don't mind bragging about? I'm not a very good cook, but the thing I like to eat the most that I can make, there's 2 things. My wife showed me a chicken and biscuits, and it's just like you go get cream of chicken and you get mashed potatoes and you get some chicken meat and you put it all together and it's delicious. It's very good. Also, I'd like to just go to the grocery store and get rice and get chicken and get a can or a bottle of tikka masala sauce and just dump it all on there and just eat that. That's good. That's what I'm working with though. Also though, I don't like spending. It's equivalent to how I said about like setting up the emulation. I just want to eat. I just want to get the eating over with. So spending a lot of time on cooking to me feels like a very torturous process. And except for Thanksgiving, which I enjoy the process of making that dinner for everybody. From Bebob Sloth, do you have any idea what the developers behind the Battletoads 2020 remake, Diallo Studios, are working on now? I don't. It's a good question. Should look into that. I know a lot of people didn't like that game. I thought it was fine. I thought it totally worked. It was not one of the best beat 'em ups of its time, though, which is a problem. Not like there's a ton of beat 'em ups coming out, but there was more than had in many years, and it was definitely one of the. It was like the lower tier, not quite as good as Streets of Rage 4 and some of the other ones. From Feature Creep, what's the name of the new Star Wars Jedi game? Tell us. I'm having too much fun teasing y'all. Let's see. Jedi Unleashed. Jedi University. Jedi Rebirth. Nope. Jedi Armageddon. Let's see here. I'm just going to do Control F. Can you see it? You guys can't see it. Oh, nope. Okay. Well, there was a hint. Okay. Let's see if you guys even caught on to that. All right, fantastic. I think I could say it. I'm like, I don't see the point in saying it. So I'm like, I continue to just be like in this situation where I'm like, let's just hold off. But I think maybe you guys could guess based on what just happened there. From Looter Jennings, I know we'll talk about the Starfield delay, but apparently someone at Bethesda told Schreier that if it wasn't delayed, it'd become the next Cyberpunk. Is it that bad of shape? I think that it's very likely that the situation that it's in is when you boot up that game as it is right now, it would break in some very easy gifable ways. That's almost a certainty that it was just going to fall apart at the seams, and then the things that would burst forth through those seams would be very funny and frustrating for the player, but funny for the most part once you create a gift and put it out there, and then that becomes the marketing now. Nothing else could break through that. That is what becoming the next Cyberpunk really means. And so, yeah, I think it probably was in that bad a shape, but I imagine if they could sew up the seams, it's still probably going to be a pretty good game underneath. I guess, well, many people would argue that's true about Cyberpunk as well. From Feature Creep, from Blackheart Vinyl, I am currently crushing you in the Fantasy Critic League, just so you know. I'm not feeling, let's see, Fantasy Critic. It's probably time to reassess that entire situation, huh? My login failed. All right, well, I'll have to figure out what my password is. It's probably time to take a look at that again, even before the E3 season, and see what changes I can make to improve my chances of winning this year's Fantasy Critic League. For people who don't know, there's a Fantasy Critic .games. Basically, you just draft a bunch of games, and then they use the Metacritic score to determine your score, and you try to have the best lineup. You become the best publisher of the year or whatever, and you can you draft games just like you drafted Fantasy League, but then you can also pick up free agents throughout the year, and you have like a certain amount of money you can spend on that stuff to try to outbid other people in your league. We did this at the very beginning of the year, but there hasn't been much, and so like now it's time to like reassess that it's like E3 is upon us. All right, let's get through a few more of these. How are we doing on time? We're not doing too bad. Probably go another 10 minutes or so. From Shadow, do you think I'll get my Steam Deck email today? Fingers crossed. Yes, you got it right now. Go check your email. You got it right now. Let's manifest it, everybody. Tell Shadow he got his email. From Wise Sloth, hi Grubby Grubb. Do you feel any moral obligation to not play / engage with games that are funded by sketchy sources, i.e. Metal Slug Tactics game is funded by Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, and I won't play it for this reason. What about you? Yeah, it's definitely a conflict. My general stance on this is there is no, moral consumption under capitalism. Like everything you do can be traced, not even 6 degrees, to something morally reprehensible. More like 2 to 3 degrees. It doesn't take much. But that doesn't mean there isn't a line. Like, I would not play a game made by Adolf Hitler. So there is a line, right? So where is that line for me? That gets pretty close to it. Funding a government that killed a journalist gets pretty close to the line for me. But at the same time, it's like, there's people were going to, but no, I don't know. I come right back to, like, I feel bad about it. So yeah, this is where I'm at. This is like I have this inner monologue with myself about how I actually feel about like consuming a game like that. And a lot of times where it's like, Overwatch 2 just happened, and I played the beta, the alpha, whatever it is, and the technical preview, and that's still made by a company that has a lot of issues, and I don't feel good about supporting that company. But I'm like, I'll check out the game, see what it's like, see if there's any chance of me ever coming back. And then I was playing it, I'm like still remembering the things happening with Activision, so I kind of stopped playing it pretty quickly. In the case of Metal Slug Tactics, I feel like, that game was being made before that acquisition, and the people that are making that game really do want to just try to put out a fun game. And it's a shame that it's tainted by this, but I don't know. I will say that anyone that doesn't want to play it for their own moral reasons should absolutely respect those and don't do it. And for me, it'll be kind of like a game time decision. Like, how do I feel about it when it's actually staring me in the face? I don't know. I don't want to like make promises now that I don't keep, but I definitely understand how you feel, and I don't blame you for feeling that way. From Sandwich Jones, no Goemon win, or new Goemon win. Hell, maybe even Mystical Ninja 64 on Nintendo Switch Online. I think that's actually possible. They've done a lot of stuff like that. And I wonder what like the right situation for that is. That's probably actually pretty easy for them to make happen. I wouldn't be surprised. Of the new N64 third-party games they sold on Wii and Wii U. Okay, so like maybe I have it come, because it was one of those games you're saying. I got you. I understand. They sold on there, so they figure out the rights before. So why not again? And as for a new Goemon game, I have no idea. I would love to see a new Goemon game. We talked about this on Nintendogs earlier this week. I rented Mystical Ninja 64 a bunch of times, and it seemed like a fun game that I could never figure out. And I never really figured it out. So I'd like to have another crack at that. And then if there's a new Goemon game, I'm sure it'd be like much more modern, easier for me as a games journalist. Well, people still not getting it. People are still not guessing it. All right. From B. Smitty 1986. Greetings, Jeff. Is Xbox still intending to bring back 1 vs. 100? Are we likely to see it at the Xbox/Bethesda conference? They are working on it. They do intend to bring it back. Is it going to be ready for the Xbox Bethesda conference? I don't know. I really hope so. I think that'd be like a really good idea. Have that game ready to go. Launch it that night. Have everyone that's excited about the games playing that game together. They need as many wins as they could possibly get, right? It's not a competition, but in terms of like the hearts and minds of people who are spending money on your stuff, you still want to have wins instead of losses with them. To me, that would be like a very good, because the way it works is not as many people remember 1 versus 100 as we would like to believe, as people who played that game would like to believe. There's a lot of very young people who've played games mostly after that thing happened, and even when it was happening, they weren't paying attention. Excuse me. So when it does come back, there's gonna be a lot of us who are very excited, and I imagine that'll be very infectious, and that game will probably have a very huge debut when it comes back. From Maker of Chaos. Hey, Jeff, do you think Xbox will push one of the bigger releases day one on Game Pass for the fall to help push Game Pass for the holidays? I think they will try. We'll have to see how they're able to pull that off. I'd almost like to try to get a list together of games that could possibly make sense for that. And immediately eliminating anything that has a Sony co-marketing deal, which is a significant number. From Catch22, any info about crunch on Starfield? Does this news mean Bethesda devs are crunching through the holidays? They are likely crunching through many of the holidays, but I don't know. I would assume that they are probably working pretty hard on this, though. Up until release, which between now and then is the Christmas holidays at the very least. From Yuzi, got that Xbox All Access console, I got that Xbox All Access where the console and Game Pass Ultimate are bundled into a payment plan. Can't cancel for another year. Not a question. Whoa. Yeah, that's a rough situation. I'll say that try to find the fun where you can. There are still good games on Game Pass. And I know the temptation to look forward to what's next. We all do it. We all look forward to what's next. But we all also have a backlog. And I would say maybe stop listening to news. Stop looking forward to previews. Stop listening to podcasts as much, and instead just go back and play some old games and enjoy those. Like, get advantage of what you can get out of and then once you can cancel if you feel like you need to. From Feature Creep, will Kojima's game get pushed out this year now? It won't get pushed out this year, and it's not. There's no way it's anywhere near ready. There's just a zero chance. Like the way I've talked about Kojima's game before, everybody, is like still true, where basically Kojima didn't even really know what he was going to make, and so his inner circle didn't know, and that means everyone outside of his inner circle and at Microsoft really didn't know. Now they will, whether or not I don't know if they signed like a final deal or not, but if they have, to get to that point, they will have had to narrow down the concept and the pitch and the genre, and all that stuff will be down in writing, absolutely. But that's like where we're at, where it's like from Kojima's head into an idea that you could consider a pitch that you could put down in writing. We are not anywhere near that game being really even playable, I would imagine. From Hey You Pika Blue, can you find out a release window on Silk Song? I feel like it's a dark cloud over every indie that comes out. Yeah, it's sometime between now and the heat death of the universe is the window I'm going to go with. That game's never coming out. That game's not real. I know that. You guys are trying to fool me about this Silk Song business, but I know that game is made up. From Mr. Drumble, hey Jeff, what do you think the odds are of us getting another Pilot Wings? Seems like it's always been a hardware showcase for Nintendo, so I'm not sure when they'd trot it out again, given current focus on relatively low power / portable tech. Yeah, I think it would have made a lot of sense at the beginning of the Switch to like show off some of the stuff they tried to show off the 1-2 Switch. But yeah, you're right. That's something they've always used to like show off the new features of each thing. And it's definitely the kind of thing where it's like, it's a bunch of mini games, right? So it's like easy for them to make tech demos based on that, based on those concepts. And that's why we always get one of those. It's definitely like, let's stretch our legs on the Pilot Wings series that and then we'll just put it out as a video game. And that doesn't make a lot of sense anytime soon. I would love to see another one. I love Pilot Wings. Oh yeah, and Popple Tree loves Pilot Wings too. We all love Pilot Wings here. I should go back and play some Pilot Wings 64. I like that game a lot. From 50 Spence, do you think we'll ever hear more about any of the new Ubisoft Live Service games in the next couple of months? X-Defiant, Division, Heartland, Ghost Recon, Frontline. I imagine we'll hear about at least one of them. Yeah, X-Defiant and Division, Heartland, Ghost Recon, Frontline. I'm trying to imagine which one we hear about first. I still think that we probably hear about X-Defiant first. But I don't know. It's tough to say for sure. I could like ask around, like, I've heard that those games are still all coming along and they are very much part of the focus over there, but yeah, I don't know for sure. From Grimgrum, if Sony's E3 type show isn't for another few months, where does that leave Final Fantasy 16? It sounds like the announcement is imminent from the way Naoki Yoshida is talking. I think they probably either do their own thing, like they did for Final Fantasy 15, so maybe Greg Miller goes and gets paid again, or they just go to Jeff Keighley. They put it in the showcase. They see how well Elden Ring did, right? Hey, we had the Elden Ring gameplay at the Summer Game Fest, and that game sold 13 million copies in its first month. Don't you want those numbers, Final Fantasy? You haven't had those numbers ever. So other than Final Fantasy 14. So do you want to come here? I could see that actually being the case. I don't know for sure. Feature creep with Jedi Sacrifice. I feel like you're getting warm. From Dr. Pow. Yo, Jeff, you had said that EA decided to remake Dead Space based on RE2 remake success. Are there any other companies considering a full-on remake of PS1 era games, or any that are likely in the future? Also, has the beef button been embraced? Yeah, the beef button got messed up when the Go XLR got a little bit messed up, but I still have the sound file saved and ready to go. It's actually built in my Twitch now, my Twitch sound alerts. You can beef me whenever you want on Twitch, as long as it's within TOS. I think there's a lot of companies that like look at RE2 and doing well, and they're considering what they could do that's very similar. But EA is definitely the best example of that I could think of. I feel like there's maybe one other company that I mentioned recently was looking at that as well, but I can't pull it back from my head, so we'll have to think about it. But yeah, EA is definitely the best example. From Chuck D29, more yummy, please. Yeah, we're about to wrap up. I don't know. Does it say yummy at the end? I actually can't hear it. I think it's just the music. So I'll say yummy for you. From It's a Me, what's the farthest acceptable distance to travel to Arby's? 20 minutes? Well, no, that you can go further than that. I don't get, like, to me, if you are single and you don't have anything going on in your life, like, why not? I'll drive an hour to go get some food that I'm craving. What the hell are you talking about? Of course I would. 45 minutes ain't shit. If you got like a family and stuff, and it's you get like everything's like timed, has to be timed right because there's kids who are hungry and you don't want them whining or something like that. 20 minutes probably is right. But if you're on your own, or if you're like with your friends, I think didn't Imran and then some folks just get in a car. Blessing got in a car this weekend and went to a Sonic's drive-in that was like 45 minutes away. That's the right amount of distance. 45 minutes is like anything further than 45 minutes, then you're starting to talk about like a trip. But 45 minutes is like a commute. It's a completely acceptable thing. Feature creep also getting pretty close with Jedi Martyr. Kinda. You guys are getting there. Jedi Sad Sack, that's also close. Jedi Salt and Sanctuary. Jedi Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That's actually very close. All right, let's see. I'm gonna scroll to the top. We're gonna answer one or two more, and then we're gonna hop on out of here. From Permanent Side, why do Nintendo bother with indie game streams when most of the games are multi-platform anyway? Especially when they don't show Silksong yet again. Because the games sell best on Switch, and those games will probably get a bump now that they've been showcased by Nintendo. We've said before, only Nintendo could really talk to the Nintendo audience. So if a game is coming out and it's multi-platform, getting into a Nintendo indie showcase enables you to reach the Nintendo audience would not pay attention to you until then. That's just the reality. But then, yeah, Nintendo likes to do it because they know that if they give these games a boost, there's a better chance they might succeed. And they like having a good relationship with developers. But when an indie game breaks out, it makes them quite a bit of money. So they're happy to support it. For Blackheart Vinyl, Silksong on Game Pass. The original has been on there for years. Yeah, I would imagine that's something that would happen pretty quickly, if not right away. Silksong is probably going to be a pretty decently sized success when it launches. But at the same time, Microsoft could afford it. So I don't know. So it's probably going to be down to the developer's decision. What's going on with the Control multiplayer expansion? This one's from Popple Tree. I would imagine we'll hear about that at the 505 Games Showcase, right? That's one of the, I mean, I'm trying to think like what could they put in there that we'd hear about. That seems like one of them, but maybe I'm just speculating and completely incorrect. That's totally possible. From Slacker at Large. I was going to say Slack Rat Large. I don't know. Sounds like a good name for an evil character in Harry Potter. Any update on Mega Man Battle Network? No idea. I've never played those games, so I'm not exactly like tuned in. I have no idea. Like, it seems like they've been through all the other Mega Man games, sort of in terms of packaging them up and reselling them to everyone, especially on Switch. So why wouldn't Mega Man Battle Network be next? Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's see. Talk, I'm in a relationship, and I had a crepe by myself yesterday after work. It's beautiful. From Jan there. I'm trying to see if anyone else got it. If anyone else got it. Okay, let me see here. You know, I can hide it. I'll hide it. That's what I'll do. Let's bring up the game mess thing. And now I will. Nope, no one said it. No one has gotten the name. So, do we come back again next week? Again, no more hints. No more hints. Okay, all right, no more hints, he says. All right, yes. That's Mike telling me no more hints. Okay. So we'll come back next week. We'll keep trying. I've said the hints before. You know, if you look closely at what I did earlier, you'll get an even better hint. Colonel Sanders, did someone tell you that? Hang on, let me bring it back. Where is it? All right, hang on. Let me Oop. 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 Okay, hang on. We're gonna take a look here. We're gonna see what Colonel Sanders had to say. Colonel Sanders 21 says, "Let me stupid chat window come down here." Star Wars Jedi Survivor. You got it. You got it. You nailed it. Well done. Did my chat just die? I feel like I broke it. Am I still live? You got it. Well done. Bring it back. Might have to refresh. I think my chat died here. Yeah, well done. So we got it. So yeah, that's the name. I don't know. Mike, you want to go write a story? Yeah, I think it broke chat. Yeah. Okay, yes. Well done, everybody. There we go. There's everything. Colonel Sanders, your prize is getting maybe name dropped in a bunch of news stories here in a few minutes. So congratulations. No, you write it. You did this. Okay, fair enough. All right, everybody. Well, that's a good way to wrap up the show. Star Wars Jedi. Yeah, yes, they completely stole it from Vampire Survivor, is my opinion. Oh no, says Colonel Sanders. All right, everybody. Well, that was fun. Thank you for watching. Colonel Sanders, I will be investigating you for insider trading and knowledge. I don't know how you guessed that, but I know you cheated. I know you did. Just joking. All right, I love you all. This was a fun show. It's a good time. We'll be back with another new episode next week. Things are going to keep heating up. We're going to keep heating up. I don't know why I'm doing this fist motion, but I am. And now we have to deal with it. It's going to keep heating up. We got the 505 thing coming soon. And then after that, we're going to get closer and closer to E3 and a bunch of news. We'll do our best to keep bringing back as much news and fun stuff as we possibly can to kind of keep the stuff here on the show interesting. But I'm going to head out. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say take care of yourself. Have a good one. I'll see you next week. Goodbye. Ow, ow. Yummy, yummy.